Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. I'm going to try something a bit different today. Over the course of this channel, I've only shown cassettes, once, maybe twice. I've had a few people ask me, don't you collect cassettes? Yeah, I collect lots of cassettes. I love them. It's just for whatever reason, when I'm doing videos, I just tend to show records. That's going to change today because everything I'm going to show is a cassette. If you're someone that doesn't like cassettes, it's probably not for you. Or you could stick around and humor me. I would enjoy that. So a few weeks back, I went to a cassette release show for two of the local bands here in London, Ontario. So we'll start out with them. First three I'm going to show are all from London. We're going to start out with the brand spanking new self-titled tape by Susans. Now, Susans are a three-piece, comprised of three people that I enjoy much more than I enjoy most other people. And what you get with Susans, you get drums, you get bass, you get electric ukulele. No joke. And it fucking rules. Immediately when you hear it, you think Suburban Lawns. And that's probably because Gabe's vocals sound like a really bipolar Sue Tissue. Very quirky and aloof, maybe. And then the yelling starts. There's little bits of rage, little, brief bits of rage interspersed throughout this entire recording. It's just quirky and weird, angry, and then right back to quirky and weird. Totally awesome. And what makes it even better is how well Kellen's vocals complement Gabe's vocals. Because Kellen sounds like an eccentric game show announcer who's trying to be really matter-of-fact and deadpan. It's the two totally different styles, but they work really well. Musically, not too far removed from Suburban Lawns. Very offbeat, kind of plodding at times, new wavy kind of stuff. Little bit of a garage flavor to it. But the electric ukulele gives it almost a carnival atmosphere. There are points in the songs where I think I could see that in a Dead Kennedys song. And not because they sound like Dead Kennedys, but because Dead Kennedys use those weird kind of like surfy interludes in parts of their songs. The carnival interludes are included in much the same way. Very interesting band, super well done. This release has actually been turning a few heads the last few weeks, and for good reason, because it's very well done. They should be proud of it. So, interesting band, great people, Susans. I'll put a link to them in the description, as I always do, and you can make up your mind for yourself, whether you like them or not. Now, we're going to take a complete change of style here. Second band from here in London, Huntergatherer. This is the Growing Old cassette. It's on Ripper Dogs. Just came out a few weeks back. Huntergatherer is a completely instrumental band. Not a sign of a singer to be had. It's, primarily the foundation of Huntergatherer is metal, but more of the kind of psychedelic, syncopated metal, something like Prong, maybe to a lesser extent Helmet or something like that. Definitely a lot of influences going on here. Definitely not a shitty jam band. Like, the songs are really well written. The musicianship is great. But yeah, it's totally got a Prong feel to the metallic side of it. But then they'll just bust into a part of a song that sounds like Dinosaur Jr. So they've got a bunch of different influences working here, and they mesh them together very effectively. To see them live, you kind of can't look away. It's almost, it just draws you in. Very, very well done. And very, very nice people. So, yeah, Hunter-Gatherer. And then the last of the London bands I'm going to show, this tape's from last year. It's a band called Mall Crimes. It's Bootlickers' Delight. Mall Crimes, they're kind of a mid-paced, metallic hardcore band. Kind of dirty sounding in a way. Scratchy, and there's like kind of feedback riding all the time in the background. Their songs are just a constant succession of build-ups. Like, their songs just build and build and build and build and build and then end. which could get annoying when some bands do it, but they've got the formula down and they make it work. They rely more on like stomping repetition than they do on speed. And then Jill's vocals are very confrontational and somewhat antagonistic, which works perfectly with the tempo and the build-up nature of the songs. Yeah, very good band. They've been playing tons lately. Members of this band, like Jill played in a band with me called 100 Handers for a while. The guitar player was in Grievances. I believe he was also in Foam. The bass player, she's in another local band called Looping, who are very interesting. Yeah, like I said, these guys have been playing out a lot lately. They have an LP coming out on Cursed Blessings. The pre-order just went up for it yesterday. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll see these guys a million more times over the summer. So, yeah, Mall Crimes. Next, we're going to jet down the highway about 75 minutes down to Hamilton, Ontario. It's a band called Banananananana, the name that I hate saying. This is the Snake Oil tape on Tedious Medium. This is a synth punk duo. There's a male, there's a female. I've seen them live a couple times, and it's just, they're so blown out and loud and blaring that it almost creates an air of confusion. There are some slower tracks where they just kind of up the weirdness a little bit. They're still all blown out and loud, but it's just a little weirder. But mostly they're kind of more up tempo, and it's just a head fuck. The male half of the duo, he's doing vocals while he's eating a sleeve of saltines. He's playing the keyboards with his tongue and shit. Just a very good band visually to watch. Their tape is super noisy and blown out. And I'm sure people like that. So yeah, Bananananana. Now we got another band from Hamilton that I actually just saw last night. Anxious Pleasers. It's their self-titled. Yeah, I saw them play last night at the Doors Taco Joint, Doors Taco Bar and Metal Joint in Hamilton, otherwise known as the Doors Pub. I saw him play with Imploders, who are, in my opinion, the best band in Ontario right now. And then another Toronto band called School Damage, who, whatever, I'm not quite as fussy on. But Anxious Pleasers, last night was the first time I'd seen them. Totally reminds me of the Saints. Like, there's parts in here that are lifted straight out of, Saints records. But they're fantastic. They do a Pagans cover, Street Where Nobody Lives. Just very, very well done. There's two guys from TV Freaks, and then Matt Ellis, who was in Flesh Rag, and he also plays in a band from Toronto called Plastic Heads, who are really good. But yeah, totally surprised me. I kind of thought it would just be like some kind of run-of-the-mill garage punk or something, and I was like, whatever. But no, they were great. Totally reminded me of the Saints. Saints mixed with the Pagans, maybe. Super good. Got a record coming out soon, a couple months anyways, so when that comes out, you'll definitely be seeing it here as well. So yeah, Anxious Pleasers. Now we'll go to Toronto. A few weeks back, I went to Toronto. I saw Circle Jerks in 7 Seconds. While I was in Toronto, I stopped by to see my friend Chris. I've mentioned him here on the channel before. I've known Chris 25 years or so. When I met him, he was doing vocals in a band called Left for Dead. And then over time, he ended up being in The Swarm, and he was in Cursed and Burning Love, and he started where Left for Dead was just a pissed off, scathing, just fast hardcore band with some mosh parts in it. Super good band, insane live band. And then as his time in different bands went on, the bands got kind of more, maybe not so much metal, but just more kind of grandiose, arena crust kind of, or arena hardcore kind of stuff. And now he's back with something that sounds as close to Left for Dead as I've ever heard since Left for Dead. It's a band called Oxygen Tank. Now, this is Chris doing vocals, and then some other guy named Morgan doing all the other instruments. Morgan lives in Minneapolis. I know he's in a band called Hive, and he's in a few others. But he must have originally been from Canada's East Coast, because he's been in a couple bands from Nova Scotia. He was in a straight edge band called Envision, who are great. He was in a super underrated band, in my opinion, called Snot Party, who are awesome. But yeah, so Morgan and Chris collaborated, and they've released this under the name Oxygen Tank. It's on Titian Records. It's from 2021. Right back to the style of Left 4 Dead. Super pissed. There's like kind of like two-step mosh parts in there. There's gang choruses. So if you like Left 4 Dead, and I mean, a lot of people are aware of who they are. If you like Left 4 Dead, you'll totally like Oxygen Tank. But I stopped by Chris's because like I already had this version, the Titian version, which is what is it? It's hand numbered out of 100. But Chris did a Canadian version, just with a red shell, and it's hand numbered out of 25. So the nerd in me wanted both versions, and I got some. Now we'll go to Windsor. It's the other end of the province, really. Windsor is the city that's directly across the border from Detroit. It's a band called Brain Itch. It's the Forced to Pay tape. People in here that played in Windsor bands, Suppressulent, Matt from Suppressulent's in here. He also right now plays in a really good band called Psychic Void. And then Jacob, the singer, is from Toronto. It's a pretty long commute. But he's from Toronto. He was in a band called like Go Die Scum, and he's been in a few other ones. But this is just really solid, heavy-hitting, just hardcore punk. You know, it's kind of gruff and bellowy when it needs to be. A little bit of a D beat, but it doesn't rely on a whole lot of D beat. It's just fast, you know, pulverizing, gruff, angry hardcore. Super, super good. So yeah, Brain Itch. Now we'll stay in Canada, but we're heading to the West Coast, Vancouver. It's a band called Barren Soil. It's their self-titled cassette. I'm pretty sure at least one person in this band is from a band called Hagatha, who are kind of a doom metal thing from Vancouver. I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure. This is complete bolt thrower worship, and a very good bolt thrower worship. Little bit more of a D beat thrown in there, so it makes it a little different. But if you're a bolt thrower fan, you're definitely gonna like Barren Soil. So yeah, definitely check it out. Then we're going to go down to San Diego in California. It's a band called Blinding Glow. Tape's called Unconditional Surrender. There's members of another great San Diego band called Therapy in this band. Therapy just put out a split 7-inch with Axe Rash, which I can't wait to get my hands on. But Blinding Glow, very similar musically to Therapy. It's like that US D-beat hardcore kind of thing. Very well done. The vocals in this are awesome, but they're buried so far down in the mix. Like it literally sounds like a demon that's shrieking from inside like an underground missile silo. And I'm sure that's the appeal of this band for a lot of people, like because they like that super, you know, noisier than noisy kind of approach. But the vocal on this sounds so good that I wish they were more upfront in the mix. I would enjoy it more. Still really good, but I would just like the vocals to be more prominent. But yeah, Blinding Glow. Now we're going over to Hungary, to Budapest. Long-time band here, Trottel. It's the Interference cassette. This band's been around since 1989. Their older stuff was way more, you know, anarcho-punk kind of influenced. That's still in this, but this is super experimental. Like this is from 1999. This is super experimental. Like if you took the X and mixed it with, you know, like King Crimson, Jethro Tull, and Susie and the Banshees. There's weird instruments being used here. There's, you know, like an anarcho-punk undertone, but they are just not afraid to do whatever the fuck they want. And it makes it pretty interesting. Might be a bit of a hard listen for some people, but I really liked Trottel, like way back in their earlier days, and I hadn't heard any of their newer stuff, and I got this, and I can still hear a bit of the old Trottel in there, but this is out there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could listen to 2 hours of it straight, but this is just enough. So yeah, Trottel. Now we'll go down to Lima, Peru. It's a band called Necropsia, Inhuman Pestilence. The label this is on is called Goat Evacuation, which is hilarious. But this is, what the kids would call blackened thrash. There's a bit of a death metal influence to it. Very well done. Like, I mean, if you're a fan of thrash, you would totally like Necropsia. They have a split with another band from Peru called Epilepsia, a split 7-inch. I've had that for years, but I just had a chance to get this and it was cheap, and I was like, I'll see what Necropsia has been up to. Pretty much the same thing. If you're a fan of thrash, you'll love this. What I like most about it is that they don't try and play beyond their means. Like, they're not, they don't go super crazy with like solos and shit like that. They just stay with what they know, and they stay, within the threshold of being able to keep it tight. And they're definitely a tight band. So yeah, Necropsia. Now we'll go to Mexico. This is a kind of a reissue. This was originally released in 1990 on Rigid Records as a 7-inch, but it's a band called Anarchus. It's Final Fall of the Gods. This is re-released on a label from Thailand called Gore to Hell Productions in 2016. It's a 2016 release. But Anarchists, they're, a grindcore band, heavy death metal influence. At times they actually sound almost like a proto-black metal band in a way. Very good. Production's very kind of muddy, very noisy. But, I mean, Mexico in 1990, I'm sure it wasn't the easiest to get your stuff recorded to begin with, let alone a good recording. So, yeah, I mean, the rawness of it is part of the appeal for grindcore fans, which is their main base. But I just thought it was interesting, so I picked it up. So, yeah, Anarchus. And then lastly, we got the 1994 demo from Stack. Stack's a band from Germany. I bought this on Discogs because it was the only Stack material that I didn't have. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to tie this up and buy the demo. I knew what to expect. It's very brooding, kind of emotional, metallic hardcore with like a power violence thing going on. The drums are absolutely pummeling. The singer can hold a scream for a month of fucking Sundays. Most of it is kind of slowish and just really powerful and loud and as I said, pummeling. But then occasionally they'll speed up and it's just fucking furious. The drummer actually sounds like he's just going to lose it and just fall apart, but somehow he keeps it together. But fantastic German hardcore band from a time when the German hardcore bands were by and large all really, really good. So yeah, Stack. So yeah, that's what I got today. So we'll see you next time for more shit you may or may not care about. Cheers.